All right, today I have a very special guest with me to go over some of the biggest stories affecting the United States, the upcoming presidential election, and the destiny of the United States. Kevin Sorbo, thank you so much for joining me.
My pleasure. Good to be here, sir.
So I'm sure a lot of people recognize your face. You have done so many movies, so many shows in Hollywood. You're now doing a lot of Christian content to bring better quality content for families and children. You're also a conservative that is worried about the United States of America. I want to roll a clip for us to react to together, because these assassination attempts on Donald Trump's life are worrisome. And I want to go through some of the cover-up that I believe is happening and get your thoughts on that. Let me roll this first tape for us.
All right.
Yeah, see, this is what's so hard to understand, is that if this individual had failed one or more of her training exams, if she was known not to be really one of the Secret Service's top agent, she's in the Pittsburgh office, why was she put in charge of the entire trip, Jesse? I mean, the whole thing. She was in charge of the whole works from the time the president landed to the time he went to Butler. It's just totally inexplicable. And Jesse, one other thing. I'm told by people who are close to and have knowledge of the Secret Service's own internal investigation that the Department of Homeland Security is leaning on the Secret Service not to comply with document requests to Congress. I mean, this is really getting to be outrageous. The American people need the truth here. Yes.
All right. So Senator Hawley has just revealed in the last few days that not only was the woman over at Secret Service known for being terrible as a police officer, Secret Service, anything to do with law enforcement. She's put in charge of the entire Butler, Pennsylvania situation. Now the Department of Homeland Security is putting pressure on Secret Service to cover up their actions. What are your thoughts on that first assassination attempt?
Well, number one, obviously it never should have happened. And number two, we saw many people see that punk up on that roof long before, pointing it out to police officers, everybody else. Nobody did anything. It's pretty hard not to think that we know who's behind this without saying it. And I think we all know who is behind this. We live in unbelievably corrupt times now within our government. I think the government's always been corrupt, got more corrupt as the centuries went on. But I've always said, our government treats its American citizens far worse than the British monarchy did 250 years ago. We went to a war over a 3-cent tax. I mean, if you look at the number of taxes, really look at the number of taxes, I think people are surprised that not only do you pay your income tax and your state tax, but then whatever you got left over gets taxed to death with everything you want to buy, whether it's gum, cigarettes, gasoline, clothing, whatever it may be. It's unbelievable, the taxes that just keep coming and coming and coming, and they keep printing money anyway. So they treated this assassination attempt like it was a fender bender somewhere. If this had happened to Kamala Harris, Biden, anybody on the left, there would be such an inquisition. There would be such a search to find out more about what's going on here. And the fact that they're not doing it, not giving us information on what this is about. I mean, They took his body, they burned it up, they cremated him, everything was done. There's so much more. Here's a guy that never had any social media sites. Are you kidding me? I mean, everything they keep saying, they keep talking about that Trump lies all the time. And I call it deflection or reflection within the Democrat Party, because everything they're guilty of, they blame it on the other side. So it's unbelievable. And now a second attempt, just a short time later. We're living in crazy times, and I think the biggest killer in America is apathy. I think we've become so desensitized through media, television, movies, Washington, D.C., video games, everything, and like death is like, whatever. But we all know if this was flipped on, this was a different attempt on, say, someone as amazing as Kamala, then there'd be all kinds of press every single day trying to find out what happened.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with you. You just said something that sparked a thought. You were just in the most recent movie, Reagan, which was fantastic. Getting to see Ronald Reagan's life and the things that inspired him. A couple of thoughts. I didn't realize how much like the mob and communists were trying to take over Hollywood. Sometimes I wonder if they haven't already infiltrated it. You've been there for a long time. But also you mentioned the United States. We broke away from the monarch, the king of England, over a 3-cent tax. Now we're taxed into the ground. And in that movie, Ronald Reagan talks about the fact that as a movie star making a good income, he was in the 94% tax bracket, meaning every dollar he made, the government took 94 cents of that. And then people wonder why he came in and slashed taxes as much as he did. Did you enjoy being a part of that Reagan movie?
Well, I did. I'm a big fan of Reagan. He was actually the first president I voted for when I was old enough to vote in 1980. So much to my the dismay of my mom and dad, I grew up in Minnesota, which now, of course, is as bad as California with its politics. But my parents were Hubert Humphrey, Walter Mondale Democrats back then, and I voted against Carter. I thought Carter was one of the worst presidents this country's ever seen, and I was 100% right until Obama and then Biden came along. So to me, I knew a lot of him, a lot about him. I did escape Hollywood about 6 years ago. I live in the free state of Florida now. I left the worst governor for the best governor. Hollywood actually booted me out 10 years ago. I'm the first cancel culture victim before it even became a term, because 10 years ago, my agent manager said they couldn't work with me anymore because of my conservative and Christian viewpoints. What I thought was kind of funny, because I've always been Christian, I've always been a conservative. But they said, yeah, but the winds are changing. And as you know, Stephen, the winds are changing. And they've been changing more and more and more. And so I formed Sorbo Studios, and my wife and I have been kind of doing it on our own. We shoot 3-4 movies a year. I've got 4 movies in post-production right now. I got 3 documentaries coming out. And I want to do movies that Hollywood used to do, movies that have better messages, love, laughter, redemption, hope, faith, things that are missing in America and the world right now. So I'm going to keep fighting the good fight. But I look at what Reagan did and what he said and what he also forecasted. He said, we're one generation away from losing our freedoms. And that was very true. And I think one of the blessings, we're homeschoolers before it became fashionable. My kids are now 23, 20, and 18, but we lived near the Reagan Library when we were in LA. So we were lifetime members there for every year for 10 years. We would go every 3 months with the kids to see the latest exhibit and go back and walk through the plane again. I mean, it's that place. I'll tell you right now, if you go to Simi Valley in California, that library is packed every single day. I can guarantee you, if you go to some of these other, if you go to Clinton's or anybody else, it doesn't have 1/10 of the crowd that one library gets. It's pretty incredible.
Oh, wow. That's interesting. Well, I'm excited for the new movies and shows.
Oh, I got one more thing to say about the Reagan movie. It was a little disappointing for me because they took out about 6 of my scenes. There's about 15 minutes that I've taken out because here's what happened. They tried to cover the gentleman's whole life. It's kind of tough to do that with somebody as popular and such a large career that he had. Not only from being an actor to becoming the president of SAG and the governor of California, then the president. So they kind of skipped through the early years and they took out quite a bit of our stuff because they had to get down to the 2 hours and whatever it is, because it was well over 3 hours before. So a little bit of bummer, but I'm hoping when they release it, we get the director's cut.
Oh, yes, that would be amazing. Okay, going back to the assassination attempts, the second Trump assassin, Ryan Routh, has now told the FBI that he had a list of the places that Donald Trump would be and might be. We need to figure out who leaked that list to him. But second, this is blows my mind. He's now put out a letter where he's offering a $150,000 cash bounty on Donald Trump's head. And in that letter, he apologizes for not finishing Trump off. Why would the FBI and the Secret Service share that publicly? It's almost like they're saying, look at this horrific letter, but also making the call to action for somebody to finish the job. What are your thoughts on this new information?
Once again, it seems to be on purpose. You see what's going on in the FBI and the CIA, all the letter crowd there. There's a lot of corruption out there. My wife recently talked to somebody that they put in prison for 3 years, 1 full year solitary after January 6th. If this was really a coup, if this was supposed to be a resurrection, an insurrection, and take over why did they not go with their guns? Nobody had guns. I mean, this is such a blister on what's going on in our politics right now. It just adds to it. We know that there's so much corruption involved with it, so much corruption involved in their voting. If you're looking at Kamala, you give me a break. If this woman gets elected, you're not going to tell me there's more voter fraud. Of course there is. Things that I got taken down for, misinformation and conspiracy theories. There's no way Biden got more votes than Trump did. We all know it. There was that movie 2000 Mules that Dinesh put out. There's so much proof right there. And by the way, there's I got to get it in there. There's the same golf course that Trump was almost assassinated on, if I can get it to stay. If I'm trying to get the reflection out of there. Yeah. I golfed with him there. That course is amazing. I know exactly where that guy was, where he was hanging out. And it's pretty incredible that, what's happening within our country, that there isn't somebody behind all of this, because these are two nobody dudes that no, there's just no way. There's no way unless there's somebody behind this trying to, get this paid off. And that's what they're trying to do. And yeah. Trump is amazingly resilient. It's incredible what he does. And, if you remember, before he announced his election, he was on every talk show. Everybody loved him. Please be in my movie. Do a cameo in my TV show, whatever it was. They loved him. There's a video right now showing the number of people from Oprah saying he's just such a great guy. And the minute he announced he was going to do it, then they just went after him. It's really, they completely changed the reality of what his personality truly is.
Yeah. Not only do I use sponsors to keep the show great, but I also use them to introduce you to great products and help you save money. Interest rates have dropped, and right now is the perfect time to call my friends at American Financing. They are a family-owned company that is helping people like you create meaningful savings every month. Their salary-based mortgage consultants look at your full financial picture. All of your debts, including those frustrating credit card balances where you pay upwards of 20 to 30% in interest payments every month. And they work with you to create a loan program where they wipe all of that out. And in some cases, have some cash left over to create some emergency savings. American Financing is a true partner in helping you and your family save money. They never charge any upfront or hidden fees. It costs you absolutely nothing to find out how much you can save. Their average customer is saving over $800 a month. And if you start today, you might delay 2 mortgage payments. So I want you to check them out by going over to or calling 888-686-8030. Again, give them a call over at 888-686-8030. And I'm also going to leave a web link down below. Yeah. It's amazing how the mainstream media really can develop and craft a narrative that most people, if they're not paying attention, they get sucked into. President Trump and VP candidate J.D. Vance have said that they will pull off the largest illegal immigrant deportation in American history. The left is saying they're going to fight this every inch in court, that this makes Donald Trump the biggest racist the world's ever seen. Now, some of the leaders of those countries are saying, we're not taking back a single illegal immigrant. What are your thoughts on this reaction to his idea of deporting these criminals?
Well, I mean, I've read a number of different reports that of the 20 million or so that came across the border illegally and came across the border because Hunter and the amazing border czar Kamala did nothing about it, and they did it on purpose. They want to destroy America. Why? I wish I knew. It's unbelievable. They want all the power, all the control. You saw it happening with COVID, where fear was the government's favorite weapon and most effective weapon against most of America in the world. And I'm all for getting rid of the 500 to 800,000 terrorists they believe came across the border. We already saw at least 50 or 60 Chinese nationals came across the border. I got a buddy who does business in China in the furniture business. He said you can't travel from one province to another without a whole list of OKs from different various government levels. So why were they so easily able to come to Mexico and come across the border there in San Diego? Explain that to me. I think we're looking at a mass scale 9/11 somewhere down the road. There's going to be 30 cities at once having an attack on a coordinated effort. That's a conspiracy theory, fine, but you cannot let bad people in the country, and we have a lot of bad people. I'm all for people coming here that really want to be here. And I'm sure the majority of them really want to be here and hope to get work. But you can't let 20 million people come across in less than 4 years. I don't know what the number was in Biden's. I mean, during Trump's time, I saw anywhere from 2.5 to 4.5 million. But that's a far cry from what has come across the border. And we got to fight back. I hope they can figure out a way to do it. And of course, those other countries don't want those people back because they sent a lot of their prisoners here, and that's been proven. And you already see the crime. We're not even seeing most of the crime that's taking place. They're not reporting it because the press doesn't want more and more out there. And why they don't, it's weird. Why isn't there one liberal, journalist behind closed doors saying, guys, what are we doing? We know that everything they're saying about Biden, for instance, that he's senile and dementia is definitely on the way. Everybody was just saying the opposite thing until they were forced to do it after he had that first debate with Trump. And everybody kind of, well, we can't hide it any longer. So what are we going to do? So, like I said, I'm going to keep going back. Our country is so corrupt right now. And it's so sad that we're trying to take all of our freedoms away. And, we have to wake up. People need to wake up. The sheep are going to be sheep. I need the lions out there to wake up and stop being afraid.
Yeah. Well, I think you're onto something, Kevin, about a possible future 9/11. Look at the Venezuelan gangs, for example.
Yeah,
they came in one by one. Everyone said, not a big deal. These military-age men. And then they find each other and they start taking over cities, hotels, schools, malls. I mean, like, this is happening right now. Yeah. It's very scary. I want to share with you and also my audience what Donald Trump said, and I love this. They asked him, are you going to be able to pull off this mass deportation? Are you worried about being called a racist? And what about these governments that won't take them back? His response was, I will force them down their throats with tariffs and other economic measures. I just love that. This guy, he is not afraid to do what has to be done to make America safe again. I just love that response from him. Okay, let me switch gears with you and talk a little bit about some election stuff that's just come out. As you know from following this, Arizona is a crucial swing state that has mostly voted red up until Biden. When Fox News called it for Biden early, the Arizona GOP did everything in their power to fight an investigation. Once one happened, they find all these dead people voting, all these chain of command issues. Now, new data out this morning shows that Trump is up by 20 over Kamala Harris. Wow, what a swing in just a short period of time. And that Kamala Harris has suffered an 11-point drop among Hispanic voters in Arizona. Why do you think Hispanics are souring on Kamala Harris so rapidly?
Well, I think many Hispanics came from countries that were filled with illegal activities in the government, that had socialist and communist sort of bends to them, and they know what that world is kind of like. You mentioned Venezuela. Recently I was with one of my boys. We're looking for a car for him at a dealership here in Florida, and the guy that was helping us was from Venezuela, and he moved here 2.5 years ago. And he said, what's sad to me is that everything that made Venezuela go from the richest, most successful country in the Southern Hemisphere to one of the worst, he said, was what's happening right here now in America. And I said, dude, I need people like you to go speak at all the high schools and universities across this country, because these kids have been brainwashed since kindergarten to think that socialism and communism is a good thing, and it's never been done right before, which I find very funny. I think it's great that we're slowly fighting back, and there's more people fighting back. People, like I said, people need to wake up. We can't be afraid of what's happening out there. Trump, I love that he's so open about it. I've said before Trump even came, I've known him since 2005. I said before he even ran for office 10 years later, I said, we need a businessman to run America. We are a business. We need to get rid of these politicians completely across the board. Term limits. Why can't we vote on term limits? They don't teach civics in school anymore because they don't want us to realize, these kids growing up, that's we the people. They want to get rid of that. It's we the big government. And that's another thing Reagan talked about. The bigger the government gets, the worse it's going to be for the American people. And he's correctly right. One of his greatest quotes, I won't say it word for word, he said, these are the words to fear from government. Hi, I'm from the government and I'm here to help. Because they're not here to help. They're not here to help. They're all about themselves. Why are they in there for 40, 50 years? Why do they come out multi-millionaires on a salary that pays $180,000 a year, whatever it is? It's incredible that the American people are so blinded and so ignorant and so uneducated to the reality of what's happening within them, because they keep taking an inch. But you take an inch every day for 40 years, it's miles upon miles of what they have on us right now.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, let me play this clip from former President Donald Trump, and then we'll react to it together.
Poisoning our country. They're poisoning it. And you can take a look in Ohio, what's happening. You can take a look at Aurora in Colorado and see what's happening. But those are two that have been in the news. You have hundreds of little towns and cities that are being taken over by migrants, or at least being horribly affected by migrants. We have 21 million, at least 21 million. They have a lower number. They say 16 million, whether it's 16 or 21, but I think it's much more than 21. And they've come into our country, and they're tough, and they're nasty, and we're going to have to do something about it, and fast, or we're not going to have a country left.
All right, so Trump is warning that Kamala Harris and Biden, they have poisoned the country by allowing so many illegals to come in. I'm reading about one town where now 50% of the population are foreigners that don't speak any English. They don't have the same American values. They come from socialist countries. And yet, again, the mainstream media dumps all over Trump. You can't say that our country's being poisoned. We're a country of immigrants, but we're a country of legal immigrants, not illegal immigrants. So what are your thoughts on his warning about Harris?
Well, he's spot on. Look, when I lived in Southern California, there were a number of Mexicans that I would meet. On the golf course I was a member at, and they all said the same thing to me. They said, I came across legally. I went through the system to get where I get here. They're angry about the fact that all these other people just come across. I have a buddy right now that's having a hard time getting his green card, and he's just trying to become a pro golfer in this country. And I said, dude, just go down to the Mexican border and just walk across. And they'll give you a phone. They'll give you some money. They'll ship you to some city to live in. I mean, we can joke about it because it's so ridiculous that this is going on. There's another city, I think, with a population of 50,000. Is this one in Ohio, maybe? They brought in 20,000 Haitians and just dumped them in there. Yeah. What the heck? And you don't think that's going to be a spike in crime? It's not going to take long for these people to run out of the free money that we're giving them off our tax dollars and whatever the government's printing. It's not going to take that long for these guys they're going to get frustrated. They can't get a job. They don't speak the English. Somebody told me that they're giving them all free iPhones because that way they can track their movement. Well, maybe there's some truth to that. I don't know. But all I can say right now, what we're doing to this country is poisoning it over and over again. Have that many millions of people has fled into our country and think that nothing bad is going to happen out of it. We see it every day in the news where another 12-year-old girl gets raped or killed by some Venezuelan gang member or from some whatever it may be. But Mexico is not the only country sending their people here. We get people from all over the world that is going down in Mexico and coming up the border. Who's paying for that? Is that George Soros? I don't know. But we do have a problem, and we do have to address it, and people have to wake up. And it's like something bad has to happen to them to go, oh my gosh, we need to do something. No, we need to do something now. There's enough bad stuff around us. If you're lucky enough not to have anything bad happen to you at this point, you still need to wake up to the reality of what's happening in the news. And don't get your news from the late night talk show hosts, because they're all a bunch of jerks. I mean, we miss guys like Johnny Carson. All the late talk show hosts now are complete bozos. I mean, the only one really to watch is Gutfeld. He's the #1 in the country of that, and the show's fantastic. I've been on it a couple of times, and at least the guy speaks the truth compared to what's happening with these other complete idiots on Late Show.
Yeah, Gutfeld is so funny. Some of the stuff he comes up with. You mentioned George Soros just this morning. Let me pull this up. It's saying that over 24 times, Alex Soros, the son of George Soros, who took over his billion-dollar empire, has had private meetings with Joe Biden. 24 times.
Oh, yeah.
Wow. Unbelievable.
They've had pictures of him with Schumer and Pelosi, another fine American citizen. I mean, they're not hiding their hypocrisy any longer. They don't hide the fact that they lie. Pelosi even said, there's an interview with her a couple of years ago, you can find it online, where the press asked her, how do you get these stories out there if they're not true? She goes, oh, we just say it. If we want to go attack someone, we'll make something up. You guys run with it, and eventually you make it true. She admitted to it. She admitted to it. That's just part of politics. Yeah. I go, wow. I don't think it's part of what our founding fathers had in mind, but this is what we're getting from class acts like Nancy Pelosi, who is evil beyond evil.
Yeah. All right. I know we're up against the clock. Let me ask you this final question here. This morning, House Speaker Mike Johnson officially dropped the SAVE Act, requiring that only U.S. citizens with ID be allowed to vote in elections. Yeah. Why can't Republicans in the majority in the House of Representatives ever get good bills passed? And why do Democrats, whether they have the majority or the minority, seem to control the flow of the destiny of the United States? I get so tired of these feckless Republican leaders.
Yeah, because we got a lot of rhinos in there. Trust me. The last 3.5 years, they've done nothing to get rid of mail-in voting. As long as they have mail-in voting, you will have cheating. It's as simple as that. And to not show an ID because it's racist, are you kidding me? So African Americans, please wake up. The Democrat Party that you so love, they're telling you you're too ignorant and stupid and incapable of getting an ID. And of course they all have IDs, but they call it racist to show it. I've got to show an ID to get into a gated community to go see a friend for lunch or something. I got to show an ID. I got to show an ID to get on an airplane. But to vote for the highest office supposedly in the world, no ID necessary because it's racist. So you're saying a 15-year-old African-American kid can go into any liquor store and get a six-pack. You better not ask for an ID. It's racist. I mean, it is as bad and stupid as wear a mask and stay 6 feet apart and you'll never get COVID. And now they've even admitted that. Well, Fauci said that was all made up. Of course it was, because people got 10 shots and wore 5 masks in a shield and still got COVID. And they're going to do it again. Trust me. They're going to try to find another way to control us, because that was a great test run for those guys.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting. Even to get into the DNC, their convention this year, you had to show ID.
Yeah, I know.
But not to vote?
Once again, their hypocrisy is so obvious. They don't care. They lie. They don't care. And we have a government that we need to replenish it. We need to get rid of it. We need to start brand new with people that really care about the country, because they're supposed to represent their constituents. They're supposed to represent wherever state or city that they're from, whatever is local level, federal, whatever it may be. But they don't anymore. It's all about themselves. And you know, don't kid yourself if you don't think that they're all getting rich off the stock market as well, that they're not manipulating what happens in the stock market.
Yeah, no, they definitely are. Well, I know you're a busy man. You got all these movies to release. So I appreciate you coming on. Kevin, if people want to follow you online, where can I send them?
SorboStudios.com is the best place to go. Sorbo, my last name, Studios, as in studios.com. And lots of good stuff coming down the pipeline. I've got some wonderful documentaries coming up for Christmas that are great for your family. And yeah, so you know, guys, fight the fight. Get out and vote. Get out and vote. Christians, get out and vote. You know, over 50% of Christians don't vote. Get out and vote, and stop letting fear let fear rule your life. Get over it.
Yeah, no, I agree. Okay, I'll put that link down below, as well as a direct link to your Twitter. I appreciate you coming on. I hope you have a great rest of your day.
All right, will do. Thanks a lot. I appreciate it.
Thank you.